Hey, gorgeous. Welcome to Lost in Our 40s, a podcast for women by women, where we talk about tackling life. Welcome in. Music Beate Muyindi. That was an abrupt cut. so, um, I was in the morning, I'm just through a book called Les 5 blessures qui empêchent d'être soi-même. So it was in French. And that's the 5 uh, wounds that stop you from being yourself. And I thought that's a perfect topic for this community. We talk about the good girl, we talk about the things that we're going through in life that can lead to certain difficulties. And this was really a good book because it touches on these things that happened that have made us turn up the way we do turn up. So those are the things that we're going to look at today with maybe a few examples and just try to see how or if we relate to them. Yes. Hopefully, I was hoping to try and get examples from movies or TV or stuff like that. But I really don't watch that much TV. So I was telling myself maybe I should start getting in the know with what is popular and stuff like that. Then I'd be able to do this much, much better. But let's see if we get any inspiration as we go along. So, the explanation to begin it with is that a lot of these things stem up when we are young and very young. It could be under the age of 2. It could even be in your in what's it called? When you're in when your mom is pregnant with you. I don't know what the word for that is. So it could even be at that age. And in fact, I read another book that suggests that it could even, the emotion code. It suggests that these are things that you could have come up with even before you were conceived. So it could be preconception. So the notion is that you are your body, fine, but you are also spirit. There is the part of you that gave your body life. So where this part of you comes up, which you call the soul, where your soul comes from, it is possible, according to Dr. Bradley Nelson, that's the author of the Emotion Code. So it is possible that there are aspects that um, part of you already came with. And in fact, in this book, what she mentions is that, and I've forgotten her name, maybe I should really just mention that very quickly since we are talking quite a lot about her. Her name is Lise Bourbeau. Lise Bourbeau. What she mentions is that um, your your soul may actually live lives continually in an attempt to get over this thing that it has decided it wants to get through. So you choose the family that you want to be born into. You choose your parents at the soul level before conception to try and work out this issue that you've already chosen that you need to work out, and that you might have many lives continually in trying to get this through, and that the attraction is potentially to parents who will bring this element out of you. And whether or not you believe that, you might have noticed that within life there might be a tendency to repeat a certain kind of pattern. You might find yourself reliving certain kinds of situations. You may or may not see it, but if you are always in difficulty, if things are just never going right, or maybe at least that's a picture playing in your head, or it could be in relationships. If you always seem to attract the wrong kind of attention, the wrong kind of relationship. What else? If maybe even at work, perhaps you always end up underpaid, stressed, unwanted in the workplace. And even if you move from one workplace to another, you're finding yourself in the same kind of situation. That is the repetition of a pattern. There is something that you're meant to stop, recognize, and then from there be able to dispense with. Because as I always say, it's always the recognition. The recognition is really the task, Because once it's possible to live in a cycle continuously, um, feeling that you have no control over your life, over what happens, over anything. So your existence is just cyclic. You live in the hands of fate. Your fate has been created before your existence. So it doesn't matter if you wake up early or not. It doesn't matter if you drink coffee or not. Nothing that you do matters. Is maybe one extreme way of taking it, that you feel that you have no agency over your own life. Now that's at one extreme, but maybe less extreme could be that and I'll tie it into the scarcity mentality, that you must take any job that comes up. And then whatever job it is that is coming up is always this job that is never anything that you want. So I've taken a bit of a tangent there. But I was trying to draw up that this cycle, in whatever area that it might be, it's good to be able to look at your life and see if you can recognize any kind of pattern that recurs in your life, because it could be that or it could be it is that is an area that you probably need to focus on, understand the lesson you need to learn it. And it is only then that the pattern stops recurring. Yeah. So what I found interesting in what Lise said in this book is that this, I think I've heard it before, but never in I never considered it so gravely, that it is this same pattern that you might end up coming back to life on earth to relive until you are able to get over it. So now, so that was the introduction of when these issues might come up. So they can come up from a very young age, but mostly by the time you're around, I guess she says, I think around 6. So she says most of them are probably around the ages of 2 to 6. And what this is about is realizing that you cannot be yourself. So some of these would actually be, or maybe all of these, I can tie them as well to the shadow. So the shadow is a part of your being that you are forced to repress, because living in everyday society requires you to show up in a certain way. I am part of a team that has a YouTube channel called the Coaching Circle, and it was last week or the week before. We ran a weekly session on Sundays. You can go check it out, the Coaching Circle on YouTube. The tag is Better Together. So in that one, I was talking about the shadow, and the example that sprung to mind is running around naked. So if at the age of 4 you just thought that running around naked was the best thing that you could possibly do, then you had an adult who told you that no, that is not proper. You need to put on clothes. This is what proper society does. And then you might have felt that this is you might have felt that your inner being really wants to run around naked, but because it is not the proper thing to do, you learned to cover yourself up. But maybe deep inside, there's still a part of you that still wants to be able to run amok without clothes. These are the things, and actually that's one of them. And maybe I don't know if it matters if we go in order. So maybe let's just start with that one. Now that one is humiliation. So it might have been humiliating to be told what you must do and how you must do it, and how you must show up. That showing up naked is wrong. So you might have felt some sense of shame. And remember, in all these things, it could have been the intention of your parent, but it might not necessarily have been. Like in this example, this is something a good parent would tell their child. So we're talking about how you received it. Yeah. And it's important also to move away from blaming parents. It could be difficult depending on what situation you found yourself in and what happened, but here we're talking about the story of your life and your transformation, how you get to be the real version of you, the pure version of you that is inside, the version of you that you came here to be. So holding on to blame for other people and saying that it was their fault that you turned out a certain way, or that they did this and therefore the world is terrible. It could be true. I'm not trying to stem away from the fact that there could be circumstances where your upbringing was really, really tough. But the path to healing, the path to self-actualization, if you call it that, is not the holding on and the blaming and the pointing and the shaming. No, there is the need to let that go. And I won't delve into that one in this topic. I understand that there are facets to this that can be complicated. How to let go, and maybe we'll have that in another session. How to let go, and what that actually means. Does that mean forgiving? Does that mean forgetting? What is letting go? So I'll put that aside for this conversation, because here we are saying you are the star. We're here to concentrate on you, and how to bring up the best version of you. So with humiliation, the how this might turn up in day-to-day life after having gone through the humiliation might be this really tough. You put on a very tough exterior. You this is meant to be my, what's he called? How can I forget his name? The guy with the Johnny Bravo. Yes, this is my Johnny Bravo stance. Johnny Bravo was a cartoon. I guess it still is on Comedy Central, was it called? Yeah, so that's a kind of correlations I can have. So anyway, you put a, not necessarily that you're walking around with your shoulders puffed, but you don't want to show your vulnerability. So you're hardened. You know, you have a tough exterior. You want to show everyone that you are okay. Keep your distance. I am doing fine. So that is one aspect. And I wonder, Johnny Bravo is probably a bad example. If you come up with examples for all these people, please, please, please put them down in the comments. That would be really great. Okay, then let's go to rejection. So rejection, and she makes a point of distinguishing rejection and abandonment, because abandonment is the next one. And let's see if I manage to. It's really good actually, though it's in French. I think there's an English version of the book, and this is, I think, like an abridged version, the one that I got. So Lise Bourbeau, I'll put the name in the show descriptions, and you can have a look at that. So rejection and abandonment. She says that rejection. Will I get it right? Rejection is they do not want you. Abandonment is they cannot have you. Something along those lines. So rejection is that you're being rejected means that you are that they did not want you, is the feeling that you get. And abandonment is the feeling that they could not take care of you. So there is the difference in the willpower. So rejection could be an unwanted pregnancy, that kind of thing. So that's why we said that it could stem from early on. It could stem to the point at which you were in the womb, because we are sensitive creatures. So even at that point, it is possible to, and we are energetic beings. So we do get the energy. We are able to read the energy from our environment. So even while in the womb, we are aware of the environment around us. So that sense of rejection turns up as avoidance, some kind of avoidance. So not wanting, because it was so painful to be rejected. And of course, rejection can come up in many other ways. That is just one example. Rejection could actually be that the parent or the caregiver or the environment that you're in makes you feel, or you feel that you are not wanted. And this then makes you grow into trying to, it was such a painful experience that you do not want to experience it again. So instead of opening yourself up to other people, then you sort of reject them before they can reject you. So that is how that one plays out. Okay. The next one is abandonment. We've mentioned this. So this is perhaps about the ability to be there for you, to take care of you. And that could be like parents who had to go to work. Yeah, so that could lead to a feeling of abandonment. Or I think that's a good example. And what comes out from this one is being dependent. So being a little clingy, needing other people around you, not feeling safe or secure on your own because you've been left before. What if you're left again? So you get this feeling that you really, really need these people to be there for you. You need people around you. And when they are there around you, you really want to hold firm and to hold steady. So that's dependent. The next one here is betrayal. So if you feel, for whatever reason, that you have been betrayed by your parent, your caregiver, this betrayal could be, it's trust. As a child, you trust the people around you. You have to. You come into this world, first of all, you are fully dependent on these people for survival. So you trust that they're there for your good. So if this person who you trust completely and openly to be there for you and to be good for you is the one that turns himself against you in whatever way, could be through violence, could be through and violence could be like raising the voice, so angry words, could be through whatever means, not being there, not holding up to what they had said they'd do. So this could turn up as betrayal, and this brings about an element of control. So the controller is the person who needs to have everything in place. They need to be in control, because if they know if they have planned how things are going to happen, then then things don't go wrong. That there is no betrayal. It has happened before, and because of that, they have lost trust in the system. They trust themselves, and because of trusting themselves, then they need to be able to look forward at every possible thing that could happen, to have it structured, to have it all well laid out and all put together, and from that, then uh, they then feel safe because they then know that things are going to go according to how they want it to go. Then injustice, something just wasn't fair in your upbringing. Something wasn't fair. Something did not go how you wanted it to go. And as children, this, I was going to say, this can be common, especially if you are an only child, say, and then you get a sibling, then you might, the feeling, we're talking about the feelings that you have, you might feel it's unfair that you used to have all the attention and now suddenly you have to share attention with someone else. Why? You don't understand it and you feel that that is unfair. It is, the world is not fair and you want things to be fair. So because of this, you then develop rigidity. You are very firm. You create things, you create the world in a very specific way, and there's no room for moving around, because then it's not fair. If we said we're meeting at 4 and you came at 4:01, that's not fair. That's not fair to me, because you did not live up to your part of the bargain. And I'm belittling it there a little bit, but the I'm the one who's from that example you see that I'm the one who'd be there for one. Yeah. Now that's not, I didn't mean to belittle it, no, not at all, but this inability to be flexible, because if things are not exactly how they are meant to be, then there can be room for unfairness. So that's the rigidity. And in all these things, in all these examples, more often than not, we don't see how we affect other people. Maybe now we take them back. Let's take them back in the opposite direction. So if because of injustice you're rigid, going back to the example that I've just given, it's a poor example about time, but it could be that you are so inflexible about everything. Things have to be done your way, because according to you, your way is the right way. Why? Because that's your life experience. We all have different life experiences. There's I believe it's Michael A. Singer who talks about how narrow-minded he doesn't use that word, but it's the meaning he has. How narrow-minded it is to think that your infinitesimal experience of the world is what the whole world has experienced. Yeah, you one day you were walking, the door slammed. Um, I was going to say what the door slammed and your finger got caught. Yeah, let's use that example. Then your experience is that door slamming means pain. So whenever a door slams anywhere, you're panicking, and you're hypersensitive to door slamming because your expectation is that there's going to be pain. And yet other people were slamming doors in their house because it was a fun thing, because it didn't close properly. Yeah, that's then the example. The door didn't close properly and it had to be slammed for it to close. So from their perspective, slamming a door means that you're being efficient. So put those two people together, then there is already some disagreement without anything having been spoken. The reaction one has to the door slamming makes absolutely no sense to the other one. And the fact that the other one doesn't slam the door makes this one feel, the one who grew up slamming doors, probably makes them feel unsafe. How will we know that the door is closed if we haven't slammed it? So that's what we mean in terms of bringing your own perspective to everyone around you. And this is one example of a door slamming. And you imagine everything you've gone through. Everything you've gone through, all your experiences. This is how your life experience builds up, because that's how your mind works. Your mind picks experiences and catalogs them. So these two examples I've just given is the catalog in the mind. So when something is happening, a door is slamming, the mind is going back into the catalog and picking out the folder for door slamming and seeing, pain, bad. Your reaction, your immediate reaction, if you do not temper it, will be based on that. So again, going to my ever mentioned view that being able to see is doing more than 3/4 of the work. Because once you realize that your reaction to slamming doors is your own reaction, it has something to do with you. And once you're able to tie it back to the day that your little finger was caught in the door, then you can immediately let it go. Then, because then you've changed the association, you're able to understand that not all slamming doors will mean pain. And then you're able to recreate that neural pathway in your mind that is then teaching your brain and growing your mind and growing your life experience to be able to be more accommodative, to increase your life experience, to be able to see the world in a different way. Yeah. Controller. So this one, absolutely mine. So that was what? Betrayal. Controller. I have done a lot of work. So now I no longer recognize the part of me that was the controller. But for a huge part of my life, I just felt that I needed to be in control. So I just needed to make sure that everything was okay. And I had to do it because the view is that no one else will do it like me. And the way I do it is the right way to do it. So going back again to the door slamming, because this is my experience that I think doors have to be shut just so. I'll move around, and whenever there's a door to be shut, I'll be the one doing it, because if I leave it to anyone else, they won't do it properly. And then I won't be happy because it hasn't been done properly. I'm making light of it, but this is really what it comes down to. This element of control, it can be so consuming. And what happens is that while being in a controlling state of mind, you don't realize that you don't realize how the rest of the world is perceiving you. And that's the thing with all these things. So everyone else can probably see these aspects of you that you do not see yourself, because they're interacting with you. You're a control freak. You won't let them switch on the lights because you're wasting electricity, or because you don't know how to, you're too harsh on the switch. Yeah, something like that. So controlling you yourself in your world, in your mind, are thinking that everyone is appreciative of you because everything is being done right. But this is something that the rest of the world, given the opportunity, would tell you, chick, chick, we can live without you. It sounds very harsh, but there you go. The world can go on without you. And I'll give you this example. I'm pretty sure I've given it here before, but I'll give it all the same. And this was from a work example. So there was someone who was working a certain job, and he died. Yeah, no way to color code that one. Someone died. I didn't know him, but it's a story that I heard. Was working at a certain organization. He died on the Friday, was replaced on the Monday. Believe me, I go back to this story so many times in my life because it helps me see how the centrality I've given to myself in my life and in other people's lives, how I think the world can't go on without me, is absolutely not true. So in that case, I felt sad because it was someone who was really really going out of their way to work hard, from the story that I heard. So they were really dedicated to their jobs, and yet when they died on the Friday, they were replaced on the Monday, which means that probably the replacement process had started. They were just not aware. But more to the point, which means that this, if you have workaholic tendencies, or just I was reading a book recently where the person called it like busyholic. Pete Walker. Yeah, they call it busy. Just always keeping busy, always doing something, always doing something. So if you have those tendencies, but in the workplace, that was the example for this, is that if you believe that the organization cannot move on without you. So for me, that was just a perfect example that they can. So in this element of control, that's the other thing. To realize that other people can do it. And my own example, the one of the ways that I managed to do this is to let them, let other people be, let other people take control, let things be done how other people would want them done. And surprise, surprise, you might learn something. You might learn that, the way you were doing it was highly inefficient, or just that there are other ways to do it, because there must be other ways to do things. So it makes you much more relaxed, slowing you down, bringing things down, calming you down, because then if you don't have to be in the middle of everything and busy trying to manage and puppeteer, because that's the thing with control that we don't really think about. When you're controlling, you are more or less entering into someone's life and trying to show them how to do the thing in the way that you want it done. So you're puppeteering, you're maneuvering, and you're unhappy because why don't they know how to do it properly? They're unhappy because why are you in my space trying to do things, trying to do the things yourself? So this is the perspective of control. All right, this other one, the Johnny Bravo macho stance. So this can be difficult in relationships because you're having this like tough exterior makes you avoid vulnerability. So this was formed from humiliation. So you do not want to be humiliated again. So vulnerability is a strength, something that society has probably not been touting from the rooftops, but being able to show your hurt, your real self, your you, it is a strength because it is actually giving space for other people to be able to see you, So when you have this macho mask, you cannot be seen because you are not yourself. You are busy, you are tough, yeah, and you cannot be seen. And then that just makes interpersonal relationships that much more difficult. You have a distance when people do not want to be touched, do not want to have, you just have this shell, and that just then makes your own experience much more difficult. The next one was the abandonment, the dependent. So being dependent is scary. It is a scary experience to the extent that you do not feel comfortable on your own. There must be other people. There must be by yourself you're not enough. Oh, that's it. By yourself you do not feel like you're enough. And that's it's a difficult situation to be in because then what happens is that you probably attach yourself to people. The scarcity mentality comes back in again. you might attach yourself to people who are not your people, people who are not good for you, just so that you at least are not alone. And this might turn up like being in a relationship you should have long left, being in a space that is not good for you, a space that that is eating at you. Yeah, so you feel that because it is better than nothing, you're just going to stay, but it might end up being toxic relationships, harmful situations, and it means an inability then to stand up for yourself, because you feel that you need the others. You need the others to stem in. You'll be the quiet one. You'll be the timid one. You need these people there. So you'll make yourself as small as you can be so that they don't then go away. And then that's the avoid and the rejection and the avoidance, because that's the other thing about those ones as well, trying to just occupy as little space as possible, not to be seen. I think in the book she mentioned that they dress in black. I was very amused by that one. Because in Sweden where I live, black is a very popular color. So I was just laughing quietly by myself and thinking, to blend in. In fact, in Sweden there's a word, lagom. Lagom means that you're not too much, you're not too little, you're just there. So I'm not saying that that is the intention here, but it's the similarity has struck a chord. It's amused me a little bit. So in that one, you try to be small, you try to be inobtrusive. If it's in a meeting, you're not giving any opinions. You don't want to raise a blurb. You want to just be, and their point is to avoid being rejected. So you feel unable to stand in your space and occupy it, because you don't want to risk the rejection. Yeah. So those are them. And now the highlight, we go to the positives that can apply to all of these. So being able to see it and overcome it leads to, again, because we said that's the reason that you're going through it. Yeah, it was probably your own choice at some point pre-birth. And you said, this is the thing that I want to get over. So they say that for the person who has rejection, so the one who had been who was trying to run away, what the pleasures that they might have, and the strength that might come up when they are able to overcome it, is that these people have a good endurance to work, creative, they have a good attention to detail, can think up details, as in they're very detail oriented, they see things clearly, they see small things, and can work alone resourcefully, and they can be happy by themselves. So that's a good point for those ones. There you go. For the abandoned, so the ones who feel dependent, coming out of it means that they are perseverant, determined, they have tenacity, they can really dig into something and get it done. They can be blessed with a comedic, they're funny people. They can be happy. They have a natural joie de vivre. They are empathetic, so they're able to help others, and they're often artistic. They're social, but they might need some time to themselves. Then for the ones who've suffered humiliation, or Johnny Bravo types, they are audacious, adventurous, know and respect their own needs as well as the needs of others. They're able to note them and respect them. They are good mediators, they are conciliatory, they are jovial, they make others comfortable, altruistic, good organizers, sensual. Then the controlled are the one who went through betrayal. They have leadership qualities. They can be reassuring and protective. They are good. They're good at public speaking. They can bring out other people's talents and be good at leading them. Able to delegate and make others feel important. Can tell how other people feel, and can remove the, what you call it, when there's a situation that's potentially explosive, they know how to bring down the tensions, and they often would use humor. They know how to build up the right people and be at the right place to do the right thing. So then the rigid one, the one who went through injustice, they are creative, they are energetic, they can get a lot done, they work meticulously with a great attention to detail, they have a capacity to simplify and explain these really complicated concepts in and are good teachers because of that. They are sensitive and they know how others feel by checking in on their own feelings. So they are attuned to themselves and through that are able to tell how other people are feeling. They are enthusiastic. They know the exact right thing to say. They don't need others to feel good, and they can tackle difficult situations. So hopefully that leaves you with a bit of a smile. So whichever of these masks you might, and it's possible of course to have more than one, so it's possible to have maybe two strong ones that you feel you're really that you really relate to. And now you know that there is some silver lining, there's some light at the end of the tunnel, that having worked your way through the difficulty, you'd be able to reach these beautiful virtues. Virtues, that there's so much to you, there's so much to you that has been hidden by this difficulty that you may now have been facing through the mask that you're seeing the world through. You'll realize that other people likely see your mask, other people are able to tell what it is that you're trying to fight away from, even though you yourself don't see it. So take the time, listen to this, listen to it again, and maybe go through the different dimensions. Take the book, read the book, and get it in more detail, and see which of these you relate with. I've just realized now that I say a lot. It's a friend of mine who told me when she was watching my podcast, and then she was telling me, you have a lot of ums. And of course I said, of course I don't. So now I'm becoming more conscious of them, and I keep hearing myself saying I shall try to reduce them. Maybe I'll get another phrase. The other one that I notice I say is that's the one that I noticed myself, and I really don't like it. I didn't realize that was part of my conversation. So having a podcast was for me quite informative about myself. It helps because I do my inner work through this as well. I learn, I'm learning a lot. I learn a lot on a normal basis because I do love to read. But then bringing this out gives me also things to think about and things to address. And I love this because I'm a coach as well. So one of my coaching clients, we were talking about the inner child, which is something that we do a lot. And she felt very touched, is it the word? She felt she was really, really happy to be able to go back to her inner child, and was so grateful that we were tackling something that she did not realize that she was facing. So through this inner child work. So that's the thing. This community, this space, this work, the inner work that we all do, that you are doing by listening to this, helps create a stronger us. The us that we want here to be, the us that we came here to be. And that's really my prayer for you, that you'd be able to take little incremental steps. It's my prayer for me. That's what I've been doing, taking little incremental steps. And through this, enjoying my life better. Because if I give you again the example of letting go of control, managing that then has helped me enjoy my everyday in a much, 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 much better, fuller. It's like seeing life with more color is how I'd put it. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for sharing your time with me, gorgeous. I truly appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Music by Atemi Oyungu. Content and production by me, Shiro. Get in touch at lostinourforties.com.